Welcome to our lab on inter-VLAN routing with sub-interfaces. Got a switch in the middle. Our two top devices, the PCs, are going to be in VLAN 10. Our bottom two PCs are going to be in VLAN 20. I've actually used Packet Tracer for this because it's the easiest way and least messiest way of configuring everything. I've applied IP addresses to all of the PCs, as you can see, 10.10.10.10 and .11 on the right. Default gateway is 10.10.10.10 for the top two PCs and 10.20.20.20 for the bottom two. Or sorry, 10.20.20.1. So you'll need to add the IP addresses to your own PCs, and I've just brought up the interface now for the switch in the center. So enable, go into configuration mode. I've obviously got to create the VLANs first. Create VLAN 10. I've given this a name. You don't, for the purposes of this lab, you don't really need to worry about it, but I've added a name here. Created VLAN 20. So VLAN 10 will be for the top two devices. VLAN 20 will be for the bottom two devices. I'm actually creating a third VLAN, which you don't need to do. It's VLAN 30. This is a management VLAN. I just wanted to illustrate a point which you'll see a line of config on the router in a moment, that if you have a management VLAN, your native VLAN that's connecting through to the router, you need to inform the router what the native VLAN number is with a command. The reason is native VLAN traffic is not tagged, so it's telling the router not to tag the frames as they come in. So switch port access VLAN 10 for the interface range 1 to 2 drops those two ports into VLAN 10. And I've created switch modes. I've added switch port mode access as a command to indicate that these are access ports. Interface range fast Ethernet 0/3 to 4. And switch port access VLAN 20 and switch port mode access to turn these ports into access ports. Now I'm going to connect to the router. Interface fast Ethernet 0/24 is what I've got connected. And I want this to be my trunk link. Obviously you're going to need a trunk link because you're passing more than one VLAN into the router. I've designated the switch port trunk native VLAN as VLAN 30. Again, it's not necessary for this lab, but I just thought it's important that you do understand this command. It's also asked as part of the security questions of securing a switch, how to make a native VLAN other than VLAN 1. And I've created interface VLAN 30 and I've added an IP address. So this is this is a switched virtual interface. We're actually doing an SVI lab after this one, because it's even though it's a virtual interface, you still need to no shut it. And then I've added an IP default gateway for the management VLAN, which is going to the router. Now it's time to configure the router. So fast Ethernet 0/24 on the switch is connected to fast Ethernet 0/0 on our router, and we're using sub interfaces as indicated in the lecture. This is obviously a tenuous situation. In case you do have an issue with the interface, then you're going to lose all of your sub interfaces. I've now shut fast Ethernet 0/0 and then fast Ethernet 0/0.10, which will be for our VLAN 10. Now on the more modern Cisco switches, including this one, the 2960, you only actually have one choice of encapsulation, which is .1Q. The other would be ISL, but it's been depreciated on Cisco devices. So typed encapsulation .1Q and then 10 afterwards indicates the VLAN ID. As in an IP address, so the devices in VLAN 10 can connect to the router. So this is adding our layer 3 addressing now. Now we're going to take care of VLAN 20 with interface fast Ethernet 0/0.20. I've added an IP address. Now it looks like I actually did it in the wrong order. I should have put the encapsulation command in before I did the IP address, as it's given me an error message here. There you go, press the up arrow to get the previous command and hit enter. I'm just adding now the management sub-interface, so the traffic for the native VLAN can also be routed. Okay, so I've pinged one of the PCs just to test off IP connectivity from the router to the PC on the other end, and I've pinged one of the PCs that is attached to VLAN 20. So I'm happy there's IP connectivity from the router. Now I've connected to one of the PCs. I'll just type ipconfig just to see which one this is. Yeah, so it's IP address 10.10.10.10, so it's attached to VLAN 10 on the left hand side. I'm going to ping .11, which is on the same VLAN, which would work anyway because it doesn't go through the router. Don't need to route traffic on the same VLAN. Now we're going to send some traffic through the router so it can be switched between one VLAN, VLAN 10 to VLAN 20. Ping 10.20.20.20. So at show MAC address table, we can see all the devices, or nearly all the devices. The PC connected to fast Ethernet 0/4 isn't in the MAC address table. The reason is no frames have left the PC or been sent to the PC. So just to demonstrate, I'll do a ping or issue a ping from the final PC. Ping a device on VLAN 10. And now the MAC address table should be populated. Just hit the up arrow, show MAC address -table, and you can see the device connected to fast Ethernet 0/4 is now populated there. So you can see how we're using layer 2 and layer 3 together for this lab. Just issued a show VLAN brief, although it's not strictly a VLAN's lab. So you can see which devices are connected to which VLANs.